You have that look on your face again. You really don't have to be here if you don't want to. Forget about what my boss said. No, it's not that. I'm just thinking stupid things, really. What I'm thinking is, am I being paid to be here? Like, why was Jackie missing for 8 days, and what was he doing before he disappeared and stuff? I can't stop thinking about things like that lately. Well, if the media is to be believed... Don't, that's a bad idea to start with. He met his mother, right? I suppose they were together for 8 days, or at least for part of that time. Did Jackie tell you anything about it? Unfortunately, I know as much or as little as you do. He practically ignored me at school on the days leading up to when he disappeared. I wish he'd talk to me. I wish he'd talk to me, too. I'm sure he at least tried to meet her on the 12th. Jackie's grandmother said she hadn't seen him around then, but he didn't go home with us that day, remember? But he was in class? Well, yeah. That's right! Before, he only did that if he was going to his grandmother's. But if he wasn't at her place that day, then there's only one other place he could have gone. Why didn't I think of that? This doesn't exactly solve my problem, but it confirms my hunch. Maybe if I look around the school, I'll find something. Yes, well done, you hero. But why bring up all this now? Oh, I don't know, just trying to find some closure, I guess. Don't be too down on yourself, Shu. There's nothing you could have done, and Chiaki wouldn't want you to be depressed forever. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. Just focus on doing what you can do right now in the present. Are you sure you don't know what I'm doing? Really, Natsume? Come on. Those are very ambiguous things to say. You're right, thanks, Natsume. I really do have to thank him since he nudged me in the right direction even despite me not telling him anything. I'm glad you came to find him. Maybe one day I can tell Natsume the truth about all this. Yes, very far into the future, by which time he'll probably know. The next day arrives swiftly, and it's the lucky break Shu needs. When the afternoon rolls around, he has no plans with anyone until later in the evening. Looks like almost everyone's out today, so I can poke around without being bothered, though I think Masaharu's still around, so I shouldn't go into his room. Anyway, with everything I've already figured out, I can totally save Chiaki today. Today! You're being wildly optimistic, Treacle. Just have to do some searching and time traveling, of course, and make it back in time for dinner. You can't start saying cute stuff like that, not yet anyway. I have about 3 hours of time to spare before I have to meet up with my brothers for dinner. I should try and do all I can before then. I fucking love the idea of, like, imagine someone with the ability to time travel and the ability to save their friends who shouldn't have been killed. And he's just like, well, I mean, I wouldn't want to not show up for dinner, so... Oh, well, it's fine. He's dead anyway. The idea of that. Alright, first of all, I want to use the Memento. What one was it? It was this one. Stealth, Jesus Christ. 5 to 5:30. A letter that Chiaki's mother wrote when she requested to meet him since it's already been months since he turned 18. So if we walk in there, will he sort of like open up about his mum? Well, we haven't used this yet. Too early to speculate. It takes you a moment to regain his bearings after being teleported, since he reappears in almost exactly the same spot he was before. It's Wednesday afternoon and Chiaki is alone in his room. I guess I had to go somewhere that day. Chiaki didn't go to his grandmother's today? He glances at the clock and sees that it's only about 5 PM. Then again, he might have gone there and gotten back already. I don't remember what happened that day. Chiaki is sitting at his desk with his notebook and a textbook open, but he's clearly not up to concentrating on the task at all. Laid flat next to his notebook is the pink letter that Shu recognizes as being from Chiaki's mother. It seems Chiaki took the letter home from his grandmother's at some point. Though the letter isn't addressed to him, surely Chiaki has a lot of worries regarding it. Has Chiaki already arranged to meet his mother by now? It's the 10th, so... Just as Chiaki begins to let out a long sigh, his cell phone rings. In a bit of a panic, Chiaki quickly takes the call. Hello? Chiaki? Is this Chiaki? The voice on the other end of the line sounds feminine and quite young. Shu gets closer so he can better hear the conversation, though he feels bad for eavesdropping. You're saving his life! Go fuck yourself with your feelings. Now doesn't matter. Yeah, it's me, Chiaki. Oh, that's great. I was afraid she might have given me the wrong number on purpose. I already talked to her and sorted things out. Besides, I'd like to think that even she wouldn't go that far. Really? Reneged on a deal and go to see her mum? It's like, oh, the wrong number though. That's a bit far. Like, she figures that they're talking about Chiaki's grandmother. You reckon? So this woman Chiaki's talking to must be his mother. She sounds so young. Now that I think about it, she looked pretty young too. I see. Are you busy right now? I was just doing some homework, that's all. Don't worry about it, I can talk. An awkward silence follows for a while. Is this the first time Chiaki's ever talked to his mother? You didn't get that from the number lot? No, whatever. Chiaki likely has millions of questions he wants to ask or things he wants to say, but can't seem to get the words out. Chiaki's interrupted by his mother, who doesn't seem to realise that he tried to say something. I know I said I wanted to meet you, but before we do that, I think I need to explain some things to you. Has your grandmother told you much about me? No, not really, just that you tricked my dad or something. She refused to give me any details other than that. I see. Well, I suppose I should start just from the beginning then. I met your father shortly after I started high school, secondary school, for those European master race. I was 16 years old. I'm sure you don't remember this since you were so young when he passed away, but your father was a teacher at a local secondary school that I attended. I had a lot of problems at home back then. I was raised by a single father, and on some days when he'd had too much to drink, he'd get violent with me. Oh, truly, what an original thought. Because I loved my father, I never told anyone about this. I wore bandages and long sleeves to hide... You wore bandages to hide bruises? But it only became worse the older I got. So hang on a minute, you just sort of... Long sleeves, sure I can get, but just like a massive bandage on your forehead. You're just walking into class and no one's questioning that. A bruise? What bruise? No, this isn't a bandage. It's all the fashion, don't you know? Although now I say that, Nelly had one on his cheek that no one questioned for years. Could be the same. And after all that, I suppose something inside of me died, something important. I began to think that I would be fine alone, that if only I excelled in school, I could make my father feel like he'd done right by raising me, and that would be enough. No. Mr. Sorata, even now that's how I remember him, was someone all the female students fawned over. He was a teacher. Oh God, we are going into legal territory. He was kind and gentle, but also stubborn and intelligent. It was important to him, it was important to him that all of his students excelled, not only in their studies, but in their personal lives as well. It didn't hurt that he was young and attractive either. He wormed his way into all of our hearts. Wormed is not the right term to use there, surely. Wormed? You mean he... Don't go there. One day I wasn't careful enough and Mr. Sorata saw my bruises. Alarmed, he demanded to know where I'd gotten them and refused to believe me when I made up lies and excuses to explain them away. Well, I mean, if you put it so bluntly like that, I'm not surprised. At the time, I really resented him for it. Who the hell does this teacher think he is, butting into my life like this? That's what I thought back then. I was really rude to Mr. Sorata, but he persisted. Every day he'd ask me, "How have you been? Are you going to smile today?" Eventually I began to expect this from him. In the end, he wore me down with kindness. I finally opened up and told him about my personal problems. Despite the dangers, he accompanied me home one day and talked to my father. It wasn't easy, but it took a lot of counselling. But we dealt with all of our problems one by one. My father even quit drinking eventually. Mr. Sorata and I got closer after that, and though I knew society wouldn't accept it, I fell in love with him. It's not that society wouldn't accept it, it's that it's illegal. You can't sleep with your at least not in England. Are you allowed to sleep with your teacher in Japan? Is this what this game has taught me? Isn't, like, the consent law, like, 18 or something ridiculously high in Japan? They just let students sleep with There's no way that's true. That's not that society wouldn't accept it. Yeah, it's because it's fucking illegal. I fully intended to keep my feelings secret forever to spare him the embarrassment, but he soon figured it out, and after a time he accepted my feelings. Oh, not return them, he just acknowledged they existed. Oh, how romantic. Christ, Jack, take me to the edge of the Titanic, why don't you? I did wonder whether or not he really loved me or was just taking pity on this pathetic, hopeless student, but even if it was pity, I was happy. Oh my god. High visions of yourself, clearly. However, we were careless in my second year of high school. Oh my god, you were 14! There is no way that's legal. There is no human way that is legal. No. I know Japan might be stereotyped into being some weird things, but no, that made me shudder slightly. 14! Oh, man. Jesus Christ. You were only 17, even younger than you are. That's not your second year of secondary school. Oh my god. The way schools work in fucking America and Asia trigger me. Why can't it just all be the same everywhere? Even if Europe just adopted fucking America's system. Done. No more confusion. 17 though, still illegal. In Europe, I'm pretty sure. At least it is in Spain and France. No way it's legal. Oh man. Mr. Serrato tried to do what he thought was the honourable thing and marry me. It caused quite the scandal and he had to quit teaching. Yeah, because it's illegal. You can't shag your students. Oh yes, he caused quite the scandal and gossipers ran him out. Yeah, and the police. But well, your grandmother and grandfather adamantly refused to give us permission. They thought that I had taken advantage of him, that I was only after him for his money. Yeah. Yeah, that's where all of, like, you know, the top Dora earners are. That's right, they're teachers. Oh. And the Serrato family status. I suppose I can't really blame them given what happened. So I withdrew from school and gave birth to you. Your father and I had very hard times after this. We argued a lot. He was having trouble finding a new job and it was harder and harder for him to spend time with me when his parents hated me so much. He loved his parents so much, you see. Sorry, I know this is supposed to be a really loving moment, which is deep. I can't help but be amused by it slightly. And struggled to find a situation where we could all be happy. You're surprised by that? The young me didn't understand any of this and I resented him for not being able to go against his parents. Yeah. Rebel sons of anarchy. No. He's a grown, creepy, grooming man. I thought he didn't care for me, that he cared about their opinions more. During this already troubled time, your grandmother built a case against me. She argued to the court mediator that I was too young and with only a middle school education, I was unfit to raise a child compared to them. Wow, that is a shocking case of elitism. Well, you only finished secondary school. Unfortunately, we're going to have to take the child off you. Jesus Christ. The mediator agreed. And you were placed in your father's custody. You were put in the Serrato family register and taken away from me. I was heartbroken by this. I don't know why that they'd done this without Mr. Serrato's consent or knowledge. I felt betrayed and pushed your father away and cut ties with him. A few years later, I learned that he was killed in a traffic... What? There are a lot of traffic accidents. Did someone go back and kill him as well? With mixed feelings, I came to the house to pick up some of my old things that your grandmother didn't want to see anymore. There was a lot of junk and a lot of memories among both of those things. I found a letter that your father wrote to me and never sent. In the letter, he apologised for what he and his parents had put me through. Mr. Serrato confessed that though he could have tried harder to get back in contact with me, he held back because he wanted me to be able to start my life anew, without the emotional baggage of our relationship and his family. Those feelings of his were so strong that in the end, he couldn't even send that letter to me. He preferred that I hate him and spend my years from him in blissful ignorance. What is this, Twilight? No, I love you too much, Bella, and I must just leave your life. Yeah, bang, shot in the forehead. If you're not going to have a brain, I'm not going to let you use one. Like... I realised that then how blind I'd been, how much Mr. Serrato had tried to protect me and do what was best for me and for you. After that, having lost the man I loved, I tried to regain the child I loved. But by then, custody had transferred to your grandparents, because I was still single and considered a flight risk. Why were you considered a flight risk? Had you done something whatever. The mediators wouldn't even give me the time of day. I was laughed out of court. I desperately begged my grandparents to at least let me meet you. Oh, so she's their daughter. Right? No. No, okay, right. Temporary bit of confusion there. Eventually, in an attempt to pacify me and get me to go away, your grandmother promised that she'd let me meet you when you turned 18 and were of legal age to do what you wanted. I believe she thought that my wanting to raise you was merely a childish whim that I'd forget about as soon enough. She didn't realize how serious I was, how serious I still am. I have clung to that promise since then. You know, I've celebrated your birthday alone every year, looking forward to when you would turn 18 and we'd be able to meet again. The day finally came, but your grandmother evaded me. She wouldn't return my calls, she sent back my letters, and wouldn't let me meet you. Only recently learned that you were told I was dead. For a while, I was afraid that I'd never be able to see you again, that I'd have to give up after all these years of hoping and waiting. You're just gonna let it come out like that? Jesus Christ! Alright, well, we can't go into active mode on this because we'd interrupt the fucking conversation. This conversation would never take place. Jackie would never know. Oh no, don't tell me that's the way we have to save him. By never having this conversation with the mum. Oh, fuck that. He can stay dead for all I care. My heart's not taking that. Their story sounds like something out of a tragic romance novel. Yeah, it is, to be fair. Even the way she tells it, it sounds like how a novelist would. But from the sound of it, Chiaki really takes after both of his parents personality-wise. Somehow that alone makes this believable when I might not believe it otherwise. If Grandmother had her way, I probably never would have found out that you existed. I only found your letter by chance. Even though it might be easier, I don't want to blame your grandmother. I can't forgive her, but I don't hate her. I'm sure she did what she thought was best for you. Yes, in a bigoted, idiotic fashion. Yeah, I seriously doubt that. Come on now, if she raised someone as wonderful as your father, she can't be all bad. It feels strange for me to defend her, I have to admit. Man, there are some weird fucking... Let's not go there. Not go there. Jackie, I know you've spent the last 18 years of your life thinking I was dead, but maybe you've gotten so used to the idea of not having a mother that you no longer need one. But for the last 13 years, all I wanted was to see you again. I've worked so hard to try and become the woman that you might be able to respect. I won't ask you to come live with me or anything, but I want to see you. Will you grant your selfish mother just that one request? I want to see you too. His mother lets out a surprised gasp. Really? You really mean it? You don't hate me? Why would I hate you? You didn't do anything to me. Because I left you. I didn't believe in Mr. Sarata. You still call him Mr. Sarata. Fuck me, that's creepy. I don't hate you, Mother. Heh, that feels weird to say. Jackie. When do you want to meet? I have school, of course, but I can always see you after school. Let's out, or on the weekend. Jackie's mother takes a few moments to compose herself before responding. He could be wrong, but Shu gets the feeling that she's crying on the other end of the line. He can't blame her. On the 12th, that's 2 days from now. How about you meet me at the... What the fuck is wrong with you people?